Great question, Kelsey. So when it comes down to it, the business in general, it's all about the people. It's the people you're selling it to, it's the people on your team, your supply chain, and your partners. And to be honest, some of the biggest challenges we've had are with people. We found phenomenal success going abroad, specifically the Philippines, and getting great people. Part of the challenge is you don't get to see them in person, and sometimes they turn out not to be great. And some of our biggest challenges, in fact, are people who put a lot of time and energy into pulling the wool over your eyes. And we had one particular individual who created this whole elaborate scheme of fake employees and paying people to show up on calls that had nothing to do with the business, and it cost us well over $100,000, and more importantly, 9 months of time. And not only did it take us that much time to get back to where we are, additionally, we were not progressing in that 9 months of time. So we lost even more time from an opportunity cost perspective. So at the end of the day, as we're talking about product research, as we're talking about supply chains, we're talking about other people's money, it's all about the people. And when we're connecting with others, really trusting, really verifying, and then making sure, especially when you're dealing with somebody, could be in America, could be out of America, are you seeing their reports? Are you seeing the information? Are you seeing them on a regular basis on your video calls, and having that accountability so that as weeks go by into months, if somebody is pulling the wool over your eyes, you can nip that in the bud. So the biggest challenge is really trusting and verifying the people that you're doing business with.
Yes.
So I have a question about that. How do you guys vet your VAs? Because you have like 600 stores. How do you vet your VAs, and how do you keep them engaged with your 600 clients on a daily basis because of the distance and everything, and culture and whatever else?
Yeah, that's a great question. And in fact, there's an awesome resource. If you guys aren't aware of this, write this down, onlinejobs.ph. We found this to be one of the best resources like Indeed.com, except for top tier Filipino talent. And right off the bat, we have a whole system, a whole process in place when we're putting out our job posts, when we are looking at folks who are looking for opportunities. So that's right off the bat, having good process when you're scanning the inbound prospective candidates. And then you actually get on the phone with them. So we have a screening process. We have a trusted person on our team who will talk to them at first, going through all the resumes. And then after that initial conversation, she'll either give us the yay or the nay. And then we get on the phone with them, and then we start talking to them. And we ask them tough questions. We also found how important it is to check references. That's something we were not doing at the beginning. We just trusted them, and oh, this feels good, looks great, you got the skills, you're talking the talk. And now we understand that, okay, let's check in with previous employers to make sure that they're coming with positive recommendations. And that's been another thing as well. And then once they're in, make sure you're welcoming them and bringing that family vibe to them. Because at the end of the day, if you want loyalty from your people, you have to show them loyalty. And then as you're welcoming into that family and bringing them in, having a good onboarding process, and then also having check-ins. So we have a 30-day check-in and a 90-day check-in, and really make sure that things are gelling in the way that we have anticipated. And if not, party's friends.
Brian or Noah, is there any more you want to add to that as far as the wealth system?
The
Another question?
website, onlinejobs.ph.
Yeah, I mean, very similar to what Nick said. So Quantum does it slightly different than we do. A lot of ours is actually vendor outreach. So, you know, even here at White Label, there is actually a booth just over there, Wing, who they have great VAs. We actually source a lot of our VAs from them specifically. Got to meet their owner for a first time, shake hands at this event, which was really nice. But specifically, it comes down to same thing as any employee, right? So, one, find an agency that's usually a really good trusted thing, or a very good site, as Nick says. But then also it comes down to KPIs, so job standards, regular check-ins, make sure they have a manager. If they're not a manager, we have plenty of great talent, not only in the Philippines but also abroad within the entire world, right? So at the end of the day, it comes down to KPIs, check-ins, and making sure that people are just doing their job as an employee would.
What do the VAs do in
Yeah, our VAs do a litany of things. So we have VAs who are doing product research on, the wealth system side of things. We have VAs who are doing listings. We have VAs who are specifically going out and actually doing brand outreach, talking with brands, that we have trained up from, no knowledge base whatsoever to being able to, essentially do any of these tasks, right? So that's one of the big things also with VAs when you are sourcing them is at the end of the day, if you are going to work with a VA, you sometimes can either get someone who's really, really skilled, or you may get someone who has, no expertise whatsoever. It just depends. And it depends on how much you really want to spend, as, anybody with expertise would cost, right?
Another question. Comment.
Sorry, I just want to add one thing to this VA journey. When we were selling, e-commerce businesses 12 years ago, the VA model really wasn't there. We were using, sort of U.S.-based, Canada-based customer service companies, and there was no internet business that could become profitable. And I think in the last 7 years, this VA, sort of either in Colombia, Panama, or the Philippines, or Eastern Europe, I think that's become such a huge trend. And now the investment community is like, if you don't have a VA back office, we're going to ding you, because they're looking for profitability, right? And so I really am very bullish on that VA model, because unless you're selling a product that requires like a lot of hand-holding, really sort of niche-y product that requires, a sort of US-based customer service person, I mean, there's just no need to not offshore that back office.
All right, one more question here.
Hi, to continue on the VA journey, I just wanted to ask, so when do you think is the right time to start outsourcing certain tasks and start looking for VAs, especially if you are doing like Amazon FBA?
Yeah, John actually said yesterday, but typically speaking, in my history, when I was working on service and also working with other people, when it comes to when it's the right time to get a VA, it's basically when is your time more valuable than doing a basic task, right? So if it comes down to listing a product, doing ad copy, doing product research, any of that, if that is something that's going to take you a lot of time at the end of the day, that you would be better spent, and the money would be better spent doing it or having it outsourced by someone else, then you should be. So if you can be doing other things within your business. And actually, right in the back there is the owner of the VA agency that we were just speaking about.
I love listening to these gentlemen because they have the knowledge. But let's just say, because I know that I'm sitting over here, and if I was starting out, I would want to know what do the VAs do. Are you telling them to use Helium 10 and Jungle Scout, and are they researching product on that? And what criteria are you giving them? Do you have to build that criteria for them? Do you have to tell them? Of course you do. You're training them to do that. So obviously there's software that they're using to do the research and stuff like that. Is that what you guys are doing? Is that what we're doing? I'm with Wealth Assistance Manager.
I'm not sure I totally understood the question.
All I'm saying is people know what Helium 10 is.
Yeah, essentially, at the end of the day, even with VAs, like I said, take someone either with a lot of expertise, a lot of background, or just a lot of training, a lot of hand-holding in the beginning. I've had VAs where they come in, they know literally nothing whatsoever, and it's a lot of hand-holding in the beginning, and at the end they become someone that essentially could be doing everything I do and more, right? So.
Oh, question.
Just a real quick wrap up on that. The question on when to hire a VA is a good one. So for me, about 5 years ago, first time I read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, and he talked about VAs. It took me a year before hiring my first VA, and there was just this trepidation, this feeling of, I don't know, and then eventually you just take the leap. And the reality is, especially go check out onlinejobs.ph or just check out some Google searches and see what exists. And as you research, it starts to open up your mind, you feel more confident. And let me just tell you, you can get phenomenal people with years of experience, with bachelor's degrees, with master's degrees. And in their part of the world, they're getting an astronomical amount of money From our perspective, it might be $3 an hour, $4 an hour, $5 an hour. So you can start off with somebody who's top tier talent at $5 an hour, and maybe it's only 15 hours a week, $60 times 4, $240 a month. And after a month, you can see just how much value that provided. And often, at first, the big value is get stuff off your plate. And as you get repetitive tasks off your plate, as you get admin off your plate, you just feel better. And all of a sudden, now you can focus on way more areas, highest, best, greatest use that's going to push you forward in your business. So when's the right time? Immediately. And exactly. And if you're still feeling that trepidation, just do the research and see what's out there and take that leap of faith.
Got another question here.
Actually answer my question, but my question was how important is marketing, and when should you start marketing your e-commerce brand?
Ryan, you want to speak on that?
Yesterday? I mean,
The theme is yesterday, but it's not too late.
without marketing, there's nothing, right? Like eyeballs, attention is the biggest currency there is. So if you had, let's just say, 1 million people, like your ideal customer, see your product today, how many sales do you think you would make, right? Like average e-commerce, if you're 3 to 5% conversion rate, that's still a lot of sales. And so you have to be running marketing and kind of keeping up with the trends. I do highly suggest TikTok ads. TikTok ads, if you know kind of marketing terms, they have a very cheap CPM right now, and we're seeing like a lot of success through there. So definitely tap into that. But I also think in marketing right now, there's kind of a pivot where you need a face to a brand as well. So if you can get a face or like a couple influencers to create some product campaigns for you, doesn't cost a lot of money, and then you take those product campaigns and run paid advertising with them. That's where we've always found success. Not necessarily like influencer campaigns where they're going to post on their profile and then a week later like everyone forgets about it. Take their video content and you pay for ads, right? And you target your ideal customer online on TikTok ads or Facebook ads, and you'll see a lot of success there. And that's always what I've done from day one. I always kind of bootstrapped every e-commerce store I had with just pure marketing from the get-go of thinking, okay, let's create some really good video ads and see if this clicks.
All right, we're at a white label expo, so I feel like we cannot leave here without touching on white label. We kind of talked about this a little bit. There's a movement right now from wholesale towards white label, private label. What's the trajectory of that? Where do you guys see that in 3 to 5 years from now? Why is that movement happening, and how do they get onto that trend or be part of it?
White label and private label. As far as trends go, I would say that white label, private label is basically the way that all of e-commerce go. Wholesale is, at the end of the day, always going to be there. A couple of years back, drop shipping was the end-all, be-all. Pretty much every single person you talk to who's like, yeah, I do e-commerce, 9 times out of 10 it's drop shipping, right? Nowadays, as we are at White Label Expo, contract manufacturing within the U.S. has exploded within the last 5 years. So a litany of products, you've walked around, you've seen a lot of different products here. The amount of products here is maybe 1/100th of what there actually is contract manufacturing, right? So as far as what we are looking at as a future trend of growth, people are going to become more and more brand dependent and more marketing dependent on what those products that they actually purchase at the end of the day are, right? Even if you look at, let's say Amazon, for instance, or Google, every single place where you would search for a product, anything, the very first thing that's always going to come up is going to be an advertisement, right? So when we're looking at that, it comes down to that marketing and that branding, and branding is going to be huge within the white label, private label world and growing over the next few years, since wholesale really is not going to essentially get you and net you the ROI that really white label can.
John?
Yeah, and just to add to this, if you're thinking 5-7 years out and you're thinking, hey, I want to flip this business at the end of my journey, right after I've scaled it up to a meaningful size, clipped the profits, reinvested the profits, the value lies in a brand. I mean, resellers go for 3 to 5 times earnings. Brands go for 10 to 15. So when you're building your e-commerce business, investing in the brand to me is always the better sort of long-term play in case you ever want to sell it to an ultimate buyer down the road.
So we have like 5 minutes left or so. I want to make sure we answer questions. Yes.
Hi, what is the number one product that's being sold or that someone should concentrate on to start selling something or to start an e-commerce line? What is the number one product?
Of course, pass to me for the hardest question known to man. Honestly, at the end of the day, that's the question that every single person in this entire room, if not any person who's ever tried to sell online or any product, would love to know the answer to. My answer has always been there is no number one product. It entirely comes down to what you are most comfortable with, what you know you can sell, and the best product, what you're passionate about. But really, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is the best product and the number one product is always going to be the one that you can sell. Doesn't matter anything else at the end of the day. As long as the product sells, that's going to be what you really strive for, right? So you can have one product that does really, really well in sales and another it doesn't, but both are selling at the end of the day, right?
Troy, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say the old cliche, the niches are in the riches, right? So, riches in the niches. So, find what you're passionate about and pick a good niche that you want to be in, not necessarily what's the best product, because that could be a fad. It might be those Pop-It fidget toys, which go, 6 months and then they're totally dead, right? Or if you're going to follow a fad, it might be a great product for a bit, and then is that a sustainable business long term? So pay attention to that.
Yes, question.
Hi again, last question. So the question that I have is really just about the saying, birds of a feather fly together, right? So how did you go about just attracting like-minded people? Because it's been to my understanding that when you find people who are doing what you do, you tend to explode. And it's not because you're sharing any secrets, it's because you're seeing for yourself that it's getting done, it's being done, it's possible. So how do you attract more like-minded people in the space? Because that's what I'm looking for right now.
Speaking our language.
Yes, great question. How do we attract like-minded people? Well, at the end of the day, it starts with thyself. And as you improve thyself, know yourself, love yourself, master yourself. That's the secret. All of a sudden, you're elevating, and now you're attracting people in a different game. And you elevate more, and now you're attracting even more people. And secondly, know what you want. If you are going towards a target, you are moving, and people appear. People, money, opportunities come out of the woodwork to help you get there. When you don't know what you're doing, and maybe you're going here and drifting there, maybe you have some people who will help you over here, and then maybe it's not taking you over there, and all of a sudden you're drifting around, and you confuse activity with accomplishment. Years go by, and you have not even got off ground zero. So, elevate thyself and know exactly what you want, and watch how quickly people, money, and opportunities come to you.
Something that I always tell people I respect about Ryan is he's not just trying to do it himself, right? He surrounds himself with like-minded people who are really, really good in their vein, and they collaborate. I love my job, in case you couldn't tell. Okay, this is a different kind of team. So Ryan, I'd love for you to speak to, how did you get to this point to have the team that we have now?
Well, through a lot of painful solopreneur, just me in my mother's garage for a long time, dreaming of having a team like you guys. But if you guys have read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he talks about specialized knowledge. And I started realizing I have my lane, I know what I'm good at. So when I founded this company, the first thing I knew was I need a Noah Wickham, And so I scoured the internet, LinkedIn. I found good talent on Upwork, always through different masterminds I've paid to go to, events like this. You never know. I know people I've met in Mexico 2 years ago that are now coming to me for just certain new opportunities. So your network is huge. Just continue to grow that, right? Like these types of events are amazing, and just know what you're looking for, know what you're good at, and that will help you find what you're lacking, right? So, there you go.
Yes, one more question.
What's your favorite way to find suppliers?
That's not my lane, so that's why I just passed the mic to the
Case in
COO.
point.
Oh man, my favorite way? I think my favorite way is when they come to me. But if I'm having to actively look, honestly, like I was talking about earlier, I really, really enjoy just sitting down for 2-3 hours and just going through and researching as much as possible on literally just Googling things, reaching out to connections that I have, and calling people up. We have quite a few actual suppliers right now that we are getting on board with, and it clearly was exactly that. Last week I made 10, 15 phone calls, and it took about 3 hours of my time, sure, but we landed another 4 suppliers and vendors. So it's stuff like that where getting those partnerships and whatnot. And if you're also looking, I would say, just as a kind of solo person, you really don't have all the time in the world, easy place to go, Alibaba. Look at products there. If you're looking for a manufacturer, talk to them there. That's a very easy solo place.
Just one more thing to put on that as well is, if you're not that passionate about product supply research, something that does not really bring me a lot of joy, I've found a couple things. One thing in general, remember, everything we want in this world comes through people. So find somebody who has what you want, being where you are, reach out to them. Hello, I see you on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. I have a question. First off, you're awesome. Thank you for being great. Question, how have you found suppliers? Wow, you're so easy and generous with your information. Couple of questions, build relationship, and next thing you know, you have incredible supplier lists. That's number one. Number two, hire the best talent you can. So we found when we're getting our VAs specifically, we need to get supply chain locked down. So we go to onlinejobs.ph and we find 1,000 tremendous supply experienced individuals, and we vet them and we get the best of the best. Next thing you know, we now bring on somebody, we pay them $4 an hour to them. That's a phenomenal amount, and they come with years of experience with supplier relationships already locked down. All of a sudden, you're in the game.
Who was the young lady that just asked that question? Who just asked the question about the manufacturers right here? Okay, so if you have your business Instagram page set up, your subtopic underneath the page title that you have, the manufacturers will find you. Okay, if you look into your other inbox, you guys know we got 2-3 inboxes on Instagram, right? If you look through those other inboxes, I'm guaranteeing you, because you're set up as a business, they've already reached out to you. You just got to go pick them. Make sure you ask for reviews and testimonials. And I had to fly to Panama to actually verify that my manufacturer was legit, and I did, and it's good. So hopefully that helps you.
Absolutely. You guys, thank you so much. I want to respect the Expo's time. We got to wrap up, but we are at 8114. We will be packing up. Come talk to us, grab our information. Try to knock things over. But thank you for spending your time with us. We appreciate you guys, and let's talk some more.